Hello folks, and welcome back to the Vision of Veritas here. So last night I watched the debate, Oz versus Fetterman. I don't know if any of you got a chance to do that, but the only word that I can think to use to describe what I witnessed and what a lot of people witnessed was a train wreck. And it's not just because of Fetterman's inability to answer and comprehend questions. I also really didn't like the fact that Oz is a lukewarm Republican just like Pat Toomey. The unfortunate part of this is Oz has the makings of a rhino, and collectively we have to stop that. That's a huge problem that is absolutely not what our nation needs. But of the two choices, I mean, it's obvious who I do support, and there's a lot of valid reasons for that. Now, I actually am going to go through the whole debate here. Yes, it is going to be long, but I think it's really important that we do that. I want to preface this by stating my commentary will have absolutely nothing to do with the effects and the aftermath displayed with regards to Fetterman's stroke. On a purely human level, it's very unfortunate what happened to him. On a policy level, his policies are just as bad now as they were prior to his stroke. So my commentary will have nothing whatsoever to do with his stroke. Now, when we watch this here, I truly believe that Fetterman as a whole doesn't know the answers to some of these questions. The reason why I'm saying this is because you can tell when he gets a little flustered, and then it's almost like a default. He defaults to kind of throwing a cheap shot out at his opponent, Oz. And usually it's a personal attack. Now, as far as political debates go, I'm all for attacking your opponent as long as it's about the politics of the opponent. That's what these debates are for. But I have a problem with the cheap shots because you don't know the answer to the question, or you simply don't understand the question. So you default to an ad hominem answer. And it doesn't do anybody good. It makes you look like a moron.
This past summer, Congress passed the first gun control bill in decades. That would not have happened without the support of the man you are running to replace Pat Toomey. How would you have voted on that bill? And would you continue Toomey's legacy as being one of the lead Republicans in Congress on pushing for gun reforms? You have 60 seconds.
I have been supported by Pat Toomey. I've enjoyed working with him. I think he's done a wonderful job. There are parts of that bill that I like a lot. For example, I like the fact that there are background checks that are being strengthened now, so we can make sure that people who should not have guns don't get guns. I also like the fact that there was a lot of money invested for mental health, which is an important part of the equation. I've been to Philadelphia. I've done prayer vigils with black clergy leaders who are desperately trying to save the people in their community. Half the murders in Philadelphia are committed by people under 18. We have got to get mental health services to these people, and it's not happening now. But part of the problem is that we have taken away the ability of police to do their job, and that's on John Fetterman. Because John Fetterman has taken such a harsh position against them. He's undermined them at every level, taken away some of their funding. He's pushed for Krasner, who he admires tremendously, and he's spoken highly of him just this week. He's taken his policies to a new extreme. He's argued that people should be let out of jail without any bail, no matter what they did to get in there. He's argued to release 1/3 of all prisoners. 1/3 of all prisoners out of touch.
Quickly, 15 seconds. Would you have voted for that Pat Toomey supported bill?
I would have tried to improve that bill. There are things that I think most of us appreciate. I wasn't there at the time, so I can't speak to what was possible. But I do know there are parts of that bill that do make sense, and the ones I described should be followed. Let's see how it works out.
Pat Toomey was one of the worst rhinos that we've ever had in Pennsylvania. I can't stand the guy. I seriously hope no one like him ever gets into the senator's position again. This question here is what really did it in for me for Oz. The answer Oz should have given here was I would have voted no. That bill in its entirety is a blatant and substantial violation of your Second Amendment rights. Now, I'm trying to give him even the slightest bit of a pass because he is from New Jersey, and the laws that they have there are terrible. They don't care anything whatsoever about your Second Amendment rights in New Jersey. So I'm hoping Dr. Oz will educate himself on what the Pennsylvania Constitution says, what the federal Constitution says, and come to a conclusion that is aligned with both. Bottom line, that legislation that was passed in the House, that was really done through backroom deals, was one of the worst pieces of legislation for quote-unquote gun reform that I have ever seen. It is ripe for abuse. It is one step closer to the evisceration of your Second Amendment rights. And, lots of people call me ridiculous for saying this, but remember how I said earlier that Democrats are very patient, taking away and eating at your rights little bits over time so you don't realize what's going on or what's happened until it's all said and done? That's what's going on with the Second Amendment. Now, while I'm not going to give a history lesson here on it, and I would be more than happy to do a very, very detailed look at the Second Amendment, what it says, why it was written the way it was, and the historical context behind it, and why it is still valid today. I'm not going to do that now with my response to Oz's response here. But Oz's response, I hope I can chalk it up to ignorance because it is very disappointing. There are very few things that are explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, specifically rights that are affirmed by our Constitution, and one of those is the Second Amendment. The only thing I agree with him on is the mental health issue. But how you go about the mental health issue is a very dicey situation, and you need to be very careful how you approach it, because the whole mental health situation, combined with red flag laws, which are unconstitutional, combined with the lack of due process, all put together in a cauldron, so to speak, is a situation that is looking to be abused by the wrong people. And you see, the wrong people will abuse it. So that's why it's a situation that shouldn't be touched at all. If you stuck around and listened to this entire thing, I cannot say how appreciative I am of you, for doing so. You didn't have to do that. Please listen to it, share it to your friends, take it to heart. If you've learned anything from this, please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said earlier, please send this to your friends. I need all the help I can get with expanding this channel, and that's what I would truly love to do, but I can't do it without you. So, once again, at the risk of sounding like a parrot, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around. Have a good day and take care.